looks like first map here is Nepal.
I can Lucio or Zen or Moira.
We have Team 40
Oh, shit.
right here in
Fuck.
columns.
Jesus.
Oh, dude, great, we're in here.
We're in here.
Really out here.
Round one. Capture the objective.
Alright.
Right here with this.
Med?
Alright, let's discuss team comps to begin with. It's really important for fire comps, especially fire modified dive, which is what we're basically seeing out of here from Team 40. That Pharah's damage is followed up upon. And for that reason, you kind of, like, normally everyone kind of follows the Winston in to make sure everyone's shooting what the Winston's shooting so that a target actually dies. And we're still going to see some of that in that the Winston and the D.Va should be following each other. But instead, you kind of have to react to what the Pharah is landing rockets on. So if she gets a juicy direct on like the Zenyatta or the Moira or the Soldier, that's a dive trigger. That should be an excuse for other members of her team to use mobility cooldowns on that target and burst them down while they're at half health. Okay? So the problem with a comp like this, however, is that they don't take space very well. In particular, they're not running a Zenyatta, so these tanks live longer. And that they have to wait for the Pharah to get poke damage in, chip damage in, generally, in order to win a fight. It's very easy for a Pharah, particularly one who's firing from long range, to have their tanks jump on a target and she's unable to follow because the fight flows away from her or behind cover. Particularly against like a dive team who has enough of mobility that if you jump the wrong target, there are issues. So Team 40 is looking to get some value out of the Pharah and then jump whoever gets low. They have two targets pretty much to go for. It's pretty much the Zen and the Soldier who are going to be playing more or less as a pair. They need to be supporting each other and peeling for each other in general. Also, the only real good way to deal with the pharmacy from this side is for Discord Orb and Soldier to deal with it. You have the Pharah coming in, or you have the D.Va here coming in somewhat, but the skybox on this map is so massive and the Pharah sight lines are so varied that it's kind of difficult to expect D.Va to do it unless she's directly under her and has free time. D.Va will instead, I think, be better served playing as like a counter diver here, and just kind of waiting for these tanks to dive and then bullying the tanks once they dive to make room for their setup here. Blue team has a good amount of poke damage as well. So like the Soldier and Zenyatta do work on approaching tanks very easily. A bit more reliably than Pharah, although when Pharah lands those hits are more impactful, if that makes sense. Soldier's the consistent damage, can easily and readily be applied to anything in his range, while Pharah has to make a correct prediction and needs to be pocketed. So the Soldier still has the issue of needing support, but it's a little bit more, it's a little easier to apply, if that makes sense. Tracers are going to go off doing their own thing. I expect them to kind of find each other on some side flank route. And if that's the case, then the blue team's Tracer here should have the advantage because they're likely to have the support of the Zenyatta, which, you know, Team 40 does not have whatsoever. So Grape has to be aware of this, that either a healing orb or a Discord orb can quickly turn what should be normally a simple duel into an unfavorable one. So we're looking for these guys to set up on point faster, even though they don't have the Lucio. They have a bunch of heroes that let them take point and play with their damage immediately. in which case red is kind of reacting. So notice, even though they both have Lucio, they both, or only one team has Lucio, they both basically get here same time, and this Tracer's already in a good position. This Tracer is already dictating focus away from just the choke and the rest of the team coming in. So now some team has to look this way and watch this side. So this is a good Tracer angle. As for where the other Tracer is, I think that's her here, maybe? I'm not sure. Have to let it play a little bit longer. Yeah. So this Tracer's kind of playing as like a mini soldier right now, which is a little bit unfortunate. You notice how they're kind of hesitating here? That's because they don't really have good sight lines. They're still scouting what the enemy team has run. That should basically be the job of the Pharah. As soon as he sees them, be like, oh, they're running soldier modified dive. Or, oh, they're running quad tank, you know? Let them know immediately.
Tracer on the left.
It's a good call out that the Tracer's here. You see the tanks, the blue team Winston gets to take position first, despite the Lucio. The Zenyatta is doing a decent job being in the back. He's actually a little bit too far back. He really kind of wants to be like almost next to his soldier. So right now there's enough room, and I realize that the Tracer here on red team hasn't done it yet. But if he's this far away from his soldier, then he's of no use. Or then the healing station of the soldier is of no use, which is the primary peel tool here. Healing station is a generous amount of healing in an AoE. I think it's like, well, let's just check. Let's just check how much it is real quick.
Point, Winston, Wilson.
We'll get back to that. Soldier 76. Healings, biotic field. 41 healing per second. So that's more than a Zenyatta orb. Trying to fight a Zenyatta in healing station is miserable for a flanker. Really, anyone who's being pocketed makes Tracer's job a living hell. Although, in a lot of situations, she's kind of comfortable just drawing two players' attention, so she doesn't have to get a kill in that case. My issue here initially is that if we rewind it a bit, we saw the first reaction from the Pharah to start shooting the Tracer on the side. While if you land a direct rocket while damage boosted, you're going to get the kill, it's like a high risk, high reward play. In that you'd love to get that character out of the fight as soon as possible. But at the same time, every rocket you miss or only do splash damage on means you weren't impactful in the ground battle, which is really what you take Pharah to win. So if instead she had been chunking down like the front line here, or maybe even someone in the back line who she can more reliably get damage on, she can swing this fight in this favor. But so far this Pharah hasn't done much but chip a little bit off the Tracer, who can easily evade her from then on out if they play reacting accordingly. So we're going to watch that again. We're going to come in. Pharah shoots out here and then decides that he wants to go this way. You notice how her angle, this Pharah's angle of attack right now, is kind of just playing as like a backline threat here. What they could do instead is sort of shift for an off-angle attack this way and just take the top of Elephant here to rain down on point from different angles, thus forcing like this backline to consider a flank while the Tracer goes around and kind of pinchers the backline. That could work. Could also work if you do it on the tanks instead, but the tanks will obviously take longer to kill. That's kind of what you want to see. Pharah also could go this way and mirror the Tracer setup, but right now we have tanks versus tanks kind of just squaring off here while the flankers get in position. So Tracer ends up, I think I see Grape actually blink like in here, which is puts him in the middle of everyone, so he's forced to recall really fast. Similarly, the Tracer takes enough chip damage that she decides to leave. But she still has decent enough resources here. You never want to blink in the center of the enemy team unless you're confirming a kill with like a melee, and then you must immediately leave. If your back is ever turned to a dangerous target as Tracer, you've put yourself in a bad position. I do it a lot. When I play, I kind of disregard people behind me because I'm starting to get to the level of people will actually focus me out. And so right now I'm being really punished when I wasn't in the past, and it's a hard habit to break. So the Tracer is safe in his team and still providing some avenue of help here, while Tracer back here is currently not doing anything.
Winston?
So she's forced to come around the side, that's fine. This Moira is a little out of position in that she should still be playing backline. I notice how her whole team has formed this kind of conclave, and I realized the Winston just recently jumped away and she was trying to heal him. This should prompt a fade, basically, to avoid incoming aggression back to her team, or back around the side. If she goes around the side, then the Tracer can chase. If she goes back to her team, then maybe the tanks can follow. It's unfortunate that you end up here. It looks like somehow the Lucio gets soloed out, however. Good job on the D.Va player here.
Stays out.
Got wrecked.
Yeah, there's the fade around back, there's the chase. Responding to that, we now have a 2v1 situation on this Tracer. That's a good reaction by Baby Close, if that's how you say it. Especially with a man up, you can afford to 2v1 off the point here. If they're even, that prompts in like a power play basically for red team on the point, so you don't always have the opportunity to chase. In fact, if that's the case, it'd be ideal for just the Zenyatta to just hang back a little bit, pocket the Moira, and then the Moira herself deals with this. But with her orb and fade down, better Tracers will actually take advantage of that and kill you despite your healing right click. So I like this play. Now Grape's in a bad position. He probably needs to dip this way to avoid attention and to grab the Mega.
Moira low. Backing up for you.
Instead he hard commits. He doesn't have recall because he used it recently.
Thank you.
He's low on cooldown, so he decides too late he needs to go for the Mega, and he gets cleaned up. Good pick up there. We see a res in the middle of it, but we're still up, or Team 37 is still up because of that. So now, red team is like fucked. Alright, they lost their follow-up DPS, their tanks are low. I think they're losing... No, DMX fine. They're not having a good time here.
Winston.
So yeah, the fight's over. Get out if you can.
What's your diva?
See this here? It's Grape. We're gonna watch Grape die. We're gonna watch
Winston.
the Observer send on us. We boost in to take the aggression. That's fine.
What's your diva?
We blink in the middle of everyone, which is dangerous, and then we correct it. You see the Tracer here who blinks in the middle of 4 or 5. I realize both their damage is down, so it's unlikely to get immediately bursted, but then corrects it with like a flank this way, which is generally good. So red team right now is staggering themselves further. Not only do they have no chance of winning the fight, they're also not fighting on point, so control percentage is building. A decent number of these people are going to get staggered and bled for ult charge. The only way to prevent this would have recognized that the fight was over and either continued on point and fed the ult charge, unfortunately, but at least allowed minimum control point to be delayed. Or used your cooldowns to leave the fight so that they build max percentage, but you feed as few ults as possible. This is kind of the worst of both worlds at this point. Nothing really to be done, but the main shot caller saying, hey, we gotta get out. Or fight's over,
Alright,
die.
I'm down.
Dying?
Yeah, we're dying.
You see how the Lucio's still in, you see how they're gonna build bomb off of this.
Get out of there. Regroup.
Alright. So that was a disastrous first fight for red team. You see the closest thing they have is D.Va, who was probably doing a decent amount of work since Grape ended up chasing, and I don't think Pharah was very effective. In fact, with Pharah's ult percentage and Mercy's higher ult percentage, it was likely that boat mode had to leave Pharah in order to heal up the ground targets because they were taking too much damage early. See most of that work coming from the Zenyatta, the Tracer, and like there's just great ult economy here on Team 37. Knowing this, it's going to be difficult for Team 40 to make a good push this first time around. What they might want to try to do is take the next fight quickly, try to burn this incoming trance or bomb, or coalescence, or like all three, depending on their aggression and target selection, and almost plan on losing this fight and taking this fight just to build ultimates, because you're going to be down ult economy, and then converting next one. As for plans of attack, you expect the soldier to be somewhere relatively safe on point where he can see sight lines. That could be this catwalk, it could be this catwalk, it could be behind point. The soldier has a lot of flexibility of where to stand. I probably wouldn't stand anywhere further back from here, and the Zenyatta's relatively going to be with him, except maybe a couple paces behind. The tanks can take aggressive positioning as the defenders. I'd probably put Winston or D.Va up here. I might have Tracer kind of poking from like this angle. And the Winston ready to react, maybe the Winston here. And so as they push in, which is likely to be middle, so red team pushes middle, Tracer flanks from behind, D.Va, Winston jump and hold them here, as the soldier Zen combo moves up to maybe about here, or these lines here, moves up to about this line, and sprays them down. Alternatively, the plan for attack for red team is mid is kind of a crapshoot. If you're going fast enough, you can kind of do it. If you get someone low with far spam, you can kind of do it. What you can also do is go high ground here, come out here, force whoever's here down on the point, and use this as a staging area. Unfortunately, you're not running soldier yourself, so you can't like leave a soldier Zen here to have good sight lines. You might instead decide to come in a bit split. Have the Tracer come underneath here. Have tanks go main with Lucio, and then have the Pharah like come over this way. That might work. I feel like if you come in together, you're just going to get stuffed by their tanks some point in your choke, and then you're going to be poked down by the soldier. This next fight should not go in Team 40's favor regardless. So good. We see, so the Tracer seems to be wanting to get up here too. We see the red team deciding that main is not a good choice. I agree, specifically because of the sightlines of the soldier. These tanks are going to hold you in the choke for a little bit and then use their movement abilities to retreat. They're just looking to delay you.
Yeah, Winston's top.
Tracer fails the jump but goes underneath. We're still a little split, you see. We have 4 people here, but we still have the Pharah is lagging behind, which isn't a big deal. She's not looking to go in that corridor, but her Mercy is up here while your Lucio's back here. So there's a little bit split. The 4 need to move together, being the Winston, the D.Va, the Lucio. The Tracer, when I say move together, I don't mean all enter the fight from the same location. I mean converge on the same target. These 4 move as a unit, and then the Pharah and the Mercy do. So Pharah is actually going in here, which is an easy way to negate your entire value. You're being held here. You're not really expected to get anything done here except build ult percentage. So what's unfortunate is that this narrow choke gives Winston a lot of opportunity. You need to bust through him immediately. Unfortunately, he has ultimate, so he pushes you back and takes D.Va mech. I think you're taking too much spam from this. There's some consideration there for having to blow a decent amount of defense matrix just to get through this choke, because this sightline is very good for the defenders, which is why you really need to come through here fast. I don't like dropping Winston bubble, but depending on how much spam damage, you might be forced to. Really, the Pharah should be split from this and forcing these guys to not look at this choke.
I could not heal through that.
Grape is finally getting into a position to flank. The issue being now that his team is not prepared, and now he's in the middle of 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's not tenable for him. His only options right now are to retreat. If he goes anywhere else, they can be chased up upon. I guess he can go north here into here. But he'll also be followed up on. So it's like he only has like this way and this way to go. Going this way would be nice if his team was aggressing on this side. But since they're not, we don't see it. He's dropped down,
Oh,
forced to
shit.
recall. They get a huge kill because you're in a confined space. I don't know what happened to Winston Bubble. Maybe it was burst out. Maybe it was used when I wasn't
Oh,
noticing.
that's a fight.
Blinks into a wall. That's unfortunate. But this fight's over
Yeah.
regardless. You can farm the Winston for a decent amount of ult charge. So the Moira fades in, which is normally a bad play, but she won't be punished for it since there's so many down.
Oh shit!
Good cleanup. The Winston tries to
Did not wanna do that.
capitalize.
No.
Can. We finally see the bubble. I don't know why the bubble wasn't used from the initial thing. So right now, the fight is still solely in this team's favor. What this team would rather do now that we have a pick, and they don't have a Lucio, is perhaps, and the pick they got was on a Tracer, is regroup briefly and then take this 5v5 knowing that your Tracer is going to get here first. Okay? You're still down ultimates, and because they're down, you're still down ultimates. Because from Team 37's perspective that one of your healers is gone, we're going to have to blow trance probably to sustain our tanks in this fight. Okay? Zen solo healing will not be enough over an extended engagement. With only one healer. Look to blow trance here to keep your team up and wait for your Moira to come back.
Someone poke.
Alright, so we go back to regroup. Let's go.
Almost have Valk.
Mercy's not with him.
We can push in on that.
So
Too.
their Moira's
Mercy
just
just
respawning.
kind of really needs to just be with him,
Well, here.
unfortunately.
Push. We can beat the Moira back.
Let me. Yeah, I'm very close to ult.
Do this top right.
Alright, you see how much damage? Like, he's out of armor already. He's a little bit far in front of his team. Winston without armor is a very, very easily bursted down target, but we get the soldier. Without your main source of damage, I'd probably just stall this as long as possible. You know they should have a decent ult economy over you, because you blew 2 in this engage. And they haven't used one yet, to my knowledge. So they should be close to... So they should have close to 6, while you have about 4. And since you lost one in the fight, you only really have 3, and you can't hold the point 6v3, ultimate-wise. So we're going to stall on point.
Going on Zen.
Far, like, boosts up here. Notice how they're collapsing on the Winston. Winston needs
Zen
support.
Zen one.
He built
Nice.
ultimate.
Winston.
He'll be fine.
Stalker should be low.
We use 2 ultimates here to clean the fight out. That seems fine. The Coalescence, like I said, isn't going to win this fight. If you trade ultimates and you're down already in the fight, just don't bother. The bomb is whatever, bomb builds fast enough. So we commit a bomb and a support ult for a bomb and a support ult. And we're likely to lose this fight from Team 37's perspective. They also blow beats.
Zen.
How low is everyone?
Zen one.
Why do we blow
Nice.
beats?
Winston. Stalker should be.
So now we use Valk. Winston's in no danger. The tanks aren't in danger. He's fine because their hit scan just respawned. Yeah, I really don't think we needed to use beat here. In fact, we should be punished for this in the push after this when Visor comes through.
We probably didn't need beat. But...
Yeah. Fights need to come through quickly though. I need to hear target calls. Diva, cool. Who's fire shooting? Fire's up here. Okay. It's a little bit dangerous. The soldier's set up here who's not on point. We need to get rid of people on point first. This Winston is stalling for an incredible amount of percentage and just kind of being ignored. We have to remember, we're playing for this. Not like the kills up here. Right now the Winston's playing for point, and since most of the DPS have fallen off to fight their DPS, Winston's getting a shit ton of value here. If he can stall long enough so that when you finally do take the point, if you, in fact, take the point at this point because their respawns are coming in, that they only need to win one fight to win the map, then this is a fantastic job by your Winston player. Because this is such a big play, like, and most teams will just focus whoever's on point, like, these guys should be shifting to move to support him on point, out of the line of fire, using cover if possible, and just to dive point to get to generate more control percentage. The call
Where's he?
should
What's
really
on
be
point?
Winston. The call should really be Winston here. And we're doing a good job fragging on the back of it, but
Diving
like
up.
he needs to die. And now he needs to die.
Moira low.
Cap.
Can't cap with the tracer on point.
Zen.
Play point, play point, play point.
Yeah, see how like why do we blow monkey ult here?
Beat, but
Alright, if we were gonna blow monkey ult, we should have done it before beat. Like right here, it's probably where I would have monkey ulted, but he's already dropping beat. We're so low.
Get the soldier next.
Alright, so we overchase a couple kills when we don't realize someone is contesting.
Where's he?
That's
What's on point?
unfortunate.
The soldier. Soldier down.
See, we're full health here.
On to Winston. Diving.
Play up.
Moira low. Cap. Zen.
Like, it doesn't matter if we, as Winston, die here. Ultimate needs to be used in order to stall the point later. It's not an offensive ultimate. And honestly, like, Winston just needs to kind of leave now. Like, these guys are nowhere near the fight and aren't going to be entering the fray at any point. This Winston ult, let's say they build this control percentage up because you are failing to focus fire on point as a team. Not necessarily the Winston, but as a team, they build this control percentage up due to 90, due to your lack of focus. They win a fight, suddenly it's only Winston on point, you're going to wish you had that ultimate. You need it, because you're going to need that to stall for respawns to come in, so your team has another potential fight, even if it's staggered.
Play point, play point. Just regroup and clean this.
Like, cool on you to get the Winston, I guess, but like...
One hit,
Got him.
nice.
They sufficiently stalled that out. So even though you end up gaining control of the point, you blew 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates to do it, to their 1 ultimate, 2 ultimates. We sacrificed a lot of ult economy doing that. This one and this one were probably unnecessary for the times they were used. And now suddenly blue team has an advantage. Because they're coming in with 1, 2, 3. And this one will probably come in while you have 1, 2, 3, and none of which are defensive ultimates. So the visor here should clean up. And they can use trance in case they get worried. In fact, if they were worried about ult economy at all, you have enough percentage to go where Team 37 can like consider a dry push or 2 to get out some of these ultimates. In the event, like, you're like, oh, I think enemy's Lucio beat is really going to turn the fight. Let's spend a fight trying to get that out, and then we'll visor on the next one. That would be the communication. Now, since they burned both of them, and you should be tracking that as Team 37, you should know what ultimates they used, of course, and you should know what you have, and so you should be able to guess what they have still. That's not a consideration for
I have
this
ult again. Practice.
specific fight, but alright, everyone's left points. Everyone has left points. Okay, you see Soldier taking high ground, which isn't a bad idea unless they meet him here. As soon as like these guys see people up here, they should let Soldier know so Soldier doesn't go this way. Because Soldier will not have a good time going that way. Instead, Soldier might come along coast, might go up mid with his team, but going high ground here is no longer a good option if his team communicates it. Winston jumps underground. That's random.
They're down on the bottom now.
They're eating a lot of poke coming in because you're indecisively sitting in the enemy team's fire. If they had a soldier, that'd be worse. Good tracer. I like the idea of the tracer flank. I think it's a little early. Notice how the team is still here, which means right now they can solely focus the tracer. It's a good idea. I think the timing's a little off.
And you vault? No.
I like generally this position here. I don't know what Lucio's... What the fuck are you doing over here, Lucio? So he comes here. He's he's unable to peel for anyone if they engage right now. And then he goes further where he's unable to peel even worse.
No.
And then is he trying to get high ground? There's easier ways to do that. The Mercy and the Pharah are split. If that's in fact the Mercy. The Pharah is right now not being pocketed and is highly vulnerable.
They're pushing
Gonna
through.
go
Then.
Oh, almost gets dropped. Still split as fuck. Here's Grape coming around with the flank, which is
Come on to Zen.
good. I like that. The Zen is a little too far forward. Instead of going right to point, it should have swung this way, away from enemy aggression. Moira should be sitting and pocketing these back too, if possible, because you're not taking a ton of damage on approach
Zen one.
anymore. Good call on the Zen. The Zen is using a good retreat path into his team. The Moira reactively fades in order to help this out. Doesn't seem too bad. I'd probably... As soon as you get this pick, I might consider just popping this Zen ult like immediately, and just say this is the fight we win. We were tracking ultimates. We know that they had fire ult, and now it's gone. They have neither support ult, so as long as we make sure that they don't res it with Mercy, not only do we have a huge advantage, but we should use that huge advantage to win in this fight.
Then on left one.
Soldier low.
That's a good bomb that'll trade this.
Fuck.
Shit.
Oh. I should not have been on that.
Zen one. Zen one. No.
Why does Diva... So yeah,
Zen one.
like, it's... Ugh. Yeah, I definitely would have fucking tranced here. I mean, he's like a little out of position here in the middle of the team just because the fight shifted that way. He needed to be sprinting this way instead of standing and fighting. The Diva, honestly, on the side here, isn't, like, needs to be here protecting this. Like, this Matrix should be saving him right now, but it's not. Yeah, we just need to press Q, I think, and coordinate a little bit better from Team 37's point of view. He dies here, Diva's in the middle.
Fuck.
Middle. People getting bops.
I should not.
Alright, now it's like
Zen one.
anyone's game.
No. I'm healing point.
Winston's in the middle of their team, discorded. He's going to have issues. He wishes he had ultimates. Winston should be focused.
One as long as you can stagger.
Good, he's dead. Far's coming back. Soldier will be coming back soon. They still have a huge ult economy. I expect this more ult to be popped as soon as it's achieved. To just crush this fight. Anytime. Do we get something special for building 6 ultimates? Alright, so we use Visor. That's fine. We're not convinced we need to use Barrage for some reason, despite being even or down.
Distance low, but
And if we lose this fight, we lose the game.
Oh, I got.
How many fights are we going to die with?
we got a one fight.
You don't have one fight, really, unless someone can touch. Who can touch?
Should have died soon.
Alright.
No, you should have died as late as possible. You could.
Alright,
Alright, so
I'm gonna
Bagel's
jump on.
looking to touch. He doesn't have ultimate, which is the issue. This is going to be a rough fight. They have a lot of ultimates.
Get on point. Get on point. Oh, shit. I fucked up.
Mercy comes in here. See, this beat is late. This beat needed to happen probably to keep Bagel up so the rest of the team could find him. But we're using beat after 2 of our members have dropped. That's an issue. I'm not really sure why we're not just committing ultimates here on this side. Now that beat has come out, we can absorb that for a bit, knowing we have an advantage, and then pop them afterwards, sure. But,
Oh.
I don't think we saw a
I didn't
trance.
realize we had that. I would have waited.
Why are we dying with trance
Got Zen.
in the last fight? While we're up in numbers. There should not be a fight after this. Just press Q.
Come on.
Come in with Bagel ult. It's unfortunate that he's not going to be able to do anything.
Give his ult.
Alright, the Mercy should be focused now. Why did we bomb?
Give his ult.
Like, if we were going to Diva ult, we should bomb, like, staircase here? So people... This at least splits the enemy team, so, like, suddenly their Winston's completely alone, and their supports either die to the bomb or like are forced to LOS, and it might like catch someone else coming in randomly. But like this random bomb on point, not to mech, is just like useless. Mercy dies. Winston dies. Lucio now needs to stall by wall riding if he can,
Another
but this
second,
fight's
I would've been
just
able to pop
gone.
down, but
Yeah.
I had to hide for the.
Anyone gets low, use
That's
trance. Okay. Now we use trance. What the fuck? Okay. Let's fight one. So the Pharah didn't get value early on. We had a good defense on a couple chokes.
Let's go shield comp here. Let's go.
Shield comp here.
Yeah. Let's go Rissa Hug and Junkrat or Fire is good here.
Yeah, they're both
Maybe
good.
You can go McCree or 76, I think. It's good.
maybe Zen over.
we want far. Oh.
I got
Yeah,
you.
we can do that.
1, 0.
I think both are good.
Alright. So there's our comps coming. Ooh, that's not quite comps coming out.
Good.
Sorry, Bo.
With the
Alright, so one team is running triple tank Junkrat. The other team is running almost standard anti-dive, except there's a soldier instead of a creep. Both comps are relatively good for this map. I haven't seen too much Zarya here. I agree that Zarya will eat a lot of spam. It's just for her projected barrier on teammates, she might have trouble getting charge until this shield is already gone from her own Orisa. And then she contributes decently at high charge to the shield war, but it requires her to be relatively close. She's generally immobile. I think it's good. It's just not the like standard McCree to really punish them as soon as shields come down. But her ultimate is rather impactful, so we'll see how it goes. Both comps are good for this map.
Call your orb.
I will say, since they're running Pharah inside here on Sanctum, that this team doesn't have anything for that. A switch is likely going to be made if the Pharah can get any sort of value. Right now we're kind of locked. There we go. So, two weird things. Both shield placements are actually like really fucking awkward to me. In that usually you fight over pillars to leave a hit scan there, and then the hit scan has great sight lines both to like the respawn doors, the far side choke, the entirety of point, and flank routes. Like that's why pillars is so important, because it overlooks the point and basically can see you from any avenue of attack, while also having good cover in the forms of this pillar, this one here in the center here, this one here, and then like a good retreat path to a mega if you so choose. So generally you see teams, particularly with these comps, duke out for pillars. We're not seeing that here really. This Team 40 with the blue shield, no, sorry. Alright. Team 40 still has red shield, but like their sides are switched because of how we approached the camera angles. Alright, so Team 37 decided that they want to set up their shield here, which should give up this space to red team. Red team can set up a shield here, and then suddenly they're having to contest a high ground situation. And so red team gets to take more space with their shield and play off of that, including the cover here, and should be really difficult to detrench. Whatever the opposite of entrench is. To remove from this positioning, especially with a Pharah sort of like swinging this way, to hit this angle, hit this shield point from an off angle. So like, I don't like this shield. Especially with triple tank, you're looking to just kind of duke it out, not play from a distance. You don't have the hit scan to play for the distance, and your projectile lobbing with Zarya is non-existent. Meanwhile, this team decided for some reason they want to hold this fucking thing, which also gives the other team the entire pillars, which admittedly they're not as useful to you because you don't have that hit scan to set up here, but it still gives a huge amount of map control just kind of giving up this space. And this shield doesn't really do anything. It's like there's no one really behind it except for like this small like little portion where someone can maybe stand here, but they're still vulnerable to this flank even if the shield isn't there. It's like a shield that kind of wants to contest point, but decided it was shifted over too much. Like if you're contesting point with a shield, you do kind of sit up here, assuming no one's on pillars, and then you kind of rotate DPS this way, and suddenly there's a crossfire between like pew pew and pew pew, and so this forces them back, and then you can slowly inch onto point. But like this shield, both of these shields are bad, but like this one on red side is worse.
Orbs down.
Alright, so we're actually getting to the crux of the fight. Blue team is realizing, hey, this whole position is just free for the fucking taking. We somehow have seen the tanks here for the past second or two, but the rest of the team has lagged behind. Don't know how that happens with sprint and concussive blast, but the rest of the team is just now getting into the fight. Lucio's still way the fuck back here. Lucio could set up like here and be fine, could set up back here and be fine. So far, though, he's still in the mega, while the rest of the team is actually fully engaged. Zenyatta's positioning's a little forward here. Huge suck.
Got a point, that's two.
Nice.
Shit.
I died.
Flank.
I died to orb.
Wow, is this actually... Why was that even close after that? Why did we lose... How did we lose 2 people following that? That's just not good discipline. I like this aggression here. There's nothing really to punish it.
My bad.
This is fine. Alright. So, once again, these pillars are kind of important. Hit scans stay basically up here. You're gonna kind of hold this choke and spam down into here for the most part. Farah makes that a little difficult because she doesn't actually buy into that. And we see now a soldier set up here.
That's right. You guys got
No
it.
problem.
No more
And call your orb.
Zarya.
It's up to two.
So we're kind of still chilling out on point, unsure of what we're doing. We've given up this room so the defenders can come in whenever they want, which is not ideal. We're setting up on point, which is... It'll work if they shift this way, kind of. Setting up on point like this, we don't have control of this back flank. We also don't actually have control of this whole area overlooking the point.
Looks like they're looking
This
right.
isn't really that great,
Backing up for
I'm gonna
heals.
play up.
I'm going around left to the stair.
but this team is attacking this way. You notice how many sight lines they have coming out of this choke? They have nothing. They can see like their own mini, they can't see most of point, and as they round the corner, they're going to be in the middle of everyone.
The pillars.
So I don't know exactly what they're trying to do here. We see a hog flank. I don't understand why. I guess it's decent to block people from going this way just with the pressure. I really like this positioning. This positioning by Zen is fantastic. He gets to see every which way they come from. He can react accordingly. He can heal and discord major targets. He has great sightlines for his orbs. This is fantastic Zenyatta positioning.
Wrist is chunked a little
I will
bit.
say that. This narrow choke should also get you blown up by Farah, who could equally be playing as far back as Zenyatta.
Order Rissa.
So Hog is feeding.
He's gone.
Hog fed. Too aggressive. They get an
That's for
opening
Diva.
pick in a fight they shouldn't have.
Diva out of mech. Wrist low.
Also,
Rissa.
how much ult charge did you feed? So he's at 60%
That's right.
when
You
this
guys got
is
it.
taken.
Problem.
Make it back.
And
And
call
then
your
like
orb.
Hog almost
It's up to two.
feeds the remaining 30 or so
Right
after.
there.
Okay, 2
bring it
Orissas, 20% to go. Hog
I'm
feeds
going
the
around
rest.
left.
This fight
Yeah,
ends
step
because
to
of
the
the flank
pillars.
and just the bad positioning, I think.
They do.
Iris chunked a little bit.
Discord Orisa.
You don't even get the kill
He's gone.
because this team's there to pocket him. Even if you get that hook, the D.Va can just
D.Va.
eat it. So I don't
Got
know
him
what
back.
the intent
Orisa
with
low.
that was.
Yeah, Rissa won.
You give up points because one of your tanks is gone, and so now they can just walk in on your Orisa.
Shit.
Am I the only one alive?
Why the fuck did we ult here? You've already capped point. You already committed an ult. You don't need this. Was anyone even low? It doesn't look like it. The mech was already gone.
3 alive.
Are you alive?
Why are we
Me,
committing
Orisa.
more and
Oh
more
shit!
ultimates
I didn't realize you were
this?
gonna ult there.
Sorry.
Alright, the barrage, which realistically shouldn't have happened, got 3 people. I guess a good on him for seeing that opportunity, but like
I didn't say anything.
Still 3 alive.
Nice.
Damn.
your fire
nice.
just pops off to get 4.
That's
Shit.
live.
I didn't even boost that.
So random. That makes the coalesce even worse.
I figured we were gonna.
because now we don't have it for the next
Yeah, I
fight.
did too. Nice ult.
Alright.
Alright, he carries.
Holy
Wait
shit.
for
That's
Dan.
fine. Now we have
know
the
that
same sort of
high ground.
issue. We have the Zenyatta back in good positioning. We have the
Yeah,
Hog
well,
still
that
kind of
bullshit.
watching the black. The back of this. Just
Okay. Grouping up.
I'm still a little new to pharmacy.
Rissa
I-
right.
I
Bear
got to
with me.
crossfire pretty hard on them.
Junkrat on left.
That's okay. I'm
Just
playing
oh,
pretty safe
man.
here, but
so team right now is using this shield here and using the cooldowns and trying to find some poke damage in this narrow ass hallway from this infinite fucking distance Junkrat's not with though. So like your best option might be, since you do have advantage in the shield war with the Junkrat instead of the Pharah, is just try to take the fight to pillars. It's going to be very difficult. You're probably not going to get it the first couple times. You're going to need an ultimate out of this to make it successful, and it's going to require the Pharah not getting good crossfire from her elevated position, but that's probably how I'd want to attack this. Alternatively, you can just like kind of go to point and force them to fight you on point, but there's no real like good way to approach that. Without, yeah, even if you might cap the point, but you'll probably die following it. Ultimate wise, 2 people used ultimates there. I probably wouldn't have counted, so those kind of negate. You should know that you're going to be down ultimates here. Their Orisa's been alive for a little bit, so she should be up, which she in fact is. The sports are about even, right? I don't remember too much impact except for the Moira who used yours. So you're going to be down in ults.
Find pillars and
Dan,
stuff.
if you,
For
if
the
you
most
get that,
part.
I mean,
If you
it's
get orb
honestly
on the
helping me
junk.
learn how to play on.
Flank, junk.
Oh,
Good.
Good shit.
I'm rezzing.
Watch
Thank
huggle.
And now here's the problem of like, you're kind of forced back into this corner, which isn't great, which isn't on point.
Watch it, they're getting
It's
point,
Russian
they're getting point.
Even if they get point, it doesn't matter. You're winning the fight.
We got it.
Discord.
Get on. Someone get.
No one cares. Like it doesn't matter.
Baby Diva Discord.
No more ults. No more ults.
Playing
I
point.
mean,
Moon point.
Orisa Discord.
shit.
Shield him.
So like, there's no reason for Soldier to be here. Zenyatta and Soldier can still be up here and just be perfectly fine. In fact, it's preferred so they can get around the shield more easily. This positioning by far is also relatively close. She could also be like in the air way up here. And then the Mercy can kind of like fly in between. The only one who really needs to be on point are like the 2 tanks here.
On point.
The Zenyatta is even jumping the shield at
Get
some
Orisa?
points.
Orisa down. Discord and Zen.
Zen. On the right.
Got him.
Moira.
Nice.
Moira Discord.
Junk.
Get that Moira.
Junkrat should die, but he's just stalling.
Moira.
Oh,
Hold,
sorry. I have.
How does the fire get hit
Junk
by
one.
like
Sol-
the positioning? It's hard to conceive of a situation where this positioning was correct so that the Junkrat
Discord?
can hit her.
Oh, that
Are we actually going to lose this
probably
one?
wasn't-
We have numbers.
Yeah,
Alright, so we blow 2 ults in a fight we probably already won. Bongo and Trance are both huge. This should give an opportunity for us to get Bongo Visored back.
I have
That's
Valkyrie.
fucking
I mean,
awkward.
we really need a cap. That's
Cap.
the thing.
Shit, I got pushed.
Deep's on
Oh,
point.
shit.
So you guys had
Yeah.
had an advantage coming into this fight. I think you were up like a person going into that, and then like shitty positioning, kind of turned that against you. Just take pillars.
We should have given that.
Someone peek for me, please.
That's really bad. I'm coming. I got you.
At least with
Nice.
Bongo can build
Oh.
Visor again.
Thank you, friend. Beautiful.
Alright.
Good stagger.
I'm topping y'all off.
Dan, hit that orb.
What is
Oh shit.
I don't know if I like this Visor. I probably don't. I mean, you're going to get the Pharah, but that still makes it a 5v5 on a point where, like, it's very difficult to push into. You might have been better served saving that for where you can get more than just a pick on it, maybe. But then again, you could also, like, if you would combine it with the Orisa, I wouldn't have been as questionable about it. And if your position was better to follow up, but you're getting
Yeah, I
her,
can't get
that's
you.
fine.
Yeah, no, that was.
You have a wall for this?
Now you're giving up pillars. Now they're establishing a
Guessing your
crossfire.
audio is, like, way... No, I can't.
Oh,
Oh god.
fuck.
Alright.
Okay.
So they have 2 kills. Pharah should almost be back, but the Hog is down. This should trigger blue team to get to points.
Fuck.
Fuck is right.
That
Actually
Orisa's
fight
very
on
low.
point. And you see how they followed the general thing of like, you start here, you leverage this space, you get some more space with that, and then you leverage it so suddenly you're attacking from like this box and like this box, so you can't hold on point. So you're just forced further back, and then you just die.
I'm done.
D.Va
That one
Discord.
won't work.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I'm gone.
Orisa's so low. There's 1.
Fuck.
Yeah, she really needs to be healed.
I should.
That orb is bad. More of it just needs to be with her fucking team
We need
instead
to
of
back up.
fragging.
Alright, we can push in on Val.
Alright, we're fine, we're
have
fine, we're
plenty of-
fine.
We only need to hold for 8%.
Yep, it's good that you only need to win 1 fight. What you can do is take a really quick fight to dry push and then recontest again at like 85%, but the fight needs to go super fucking fast. So that's what I'd probably do, because I'm sure you've lost track, because I've lost track of how many ultimates have been used and which ones. You know that they used Bongo and Tyre. They used Tyre early in the fight. There was a chance that maybe they built some more, so unless you were keeping track of that. They also burnt Soldier in that. So you know they have defensive ultimates that you probably need to get out of the way in order to properly establish a fight. Both Orysas are out. What you have to work with as Team 40 is a Valk, a whole hog, and a Valkyrie. Or, I'm sorry. A Valkyrie, a whole hog, and a barrage. You can turn a fight with that, certainly. Diva Bomb might make the airplay kind of difficult. Diva in general might make the barrage difficult, and whole hog. You might want to consider breaking the mech first, in which case both of these support ultimates are going to make that very fucking difficult. I would try for a dry fight here. But we're looking for, if we're taking this fight with ultimates, whole hog protected by Valkyrie, and then barrage when you see fit.
Alright, regroup.
What else are they gonna have? Does anyone aware? Apparently not
4.
that. They just blew one.
No, that was
Oh no,
the ending.
that
of
was
it.
it
Yeah,
dying.
Zen.
My bad. Okay, all right. They have 4 still.
They probably have Zen ult.
We have 4.
We have 1, 2, 3. Where are you getting 4?
Pulling in
Yeah.
a choke.
Okay.
Healed it up.
So they're giving up pillars here. If you guys can use your defensive abilities to get this way, then suddenly you have great positioning.
Let's get through choke and I'll pop out.
So we really shouldn't be looking... So, like, we don't care about coming through this door as Team 40. We don't want to do that. So there's no real reason to, like, care that they're holding here. We really want to get to pillars, and their positioning doesn't prevent us from doing that.
Junk's low.
So the
Go
longer we
left.
linger here,
Yeah,
we're
go
just
left,
like
left, left.
feeding ultimates into them. Notice how their soldier went from 25% to 60 plus? How their Orisa was on 0 and now has 30? We're taking too much spam
We
damage.
gotta make a play here.
Kill this fucking diva. Oh, she's gonna ult. That's rough.
Alright.
Well,
Shield down,
You should be able to kill her.
shield down, shield down.
oh, I'm stuck. Fuck.
Oh!
How does that happen?
Yeah, go left, left, left.
They're
We gotta make
rotating.
a play here.
Alright.
Okay, we use Valk.
Junk's
How
low.
does the Zenyatta die?
We go left.
Turn. Yeah, go left, left, left.
Where's the Zenyatta? How does he... Okay, Zenyatta, like, jumps off a cliff. Anyway, you can't take this fight as red. It's good that you're getting ultimates out of it. It's bad that you're burning Valkyrie unnecessarily. So I don't know where the Zenyatta ended up dying. But, like, you gotta realize that he's down. And Zenyatta needs to communicate that he's down, so we never burn Valk. Apparently, blue team didn't notice it either, because they're gonna
We
use
gotta make a
ults
play
into
here.
this too.
Alright.
Well,
Shield down,
There's
shield
one
down, shield
ult.
oh, I'm stuck. Fuck.
There's another ult. Like, this Coalescence isn't even good. Like, if you're just using it as a damage tool, for people who can easily take cover here, it's not doing anything. Use it in the middle of fight to both sustain your team and damage people through it. You want to act as like a pendulum. So like, if their team's setting up here, I can understand coalescing from back here to both heal your front line and letting them engage while damaging them. But like, from this way the fuck off angle, it doesn't do anything.
Junk's coming in behind you guys.
That's fine though. Like, just die. Die, we get another fight.
I got pinned on geometry.
Try push, no ults.
Junk behind.
Yeah, yeah.
Just abort as soon as you can.
Oh,
Alright, see how that wasn't clean because we waited at the choke for so long? Now you don't actually get another push. That's kind of the problem.
can't believe I died there. That was so bad.
There was too much indecision
Yeah,
in
we
this
can get a
room.
play. They blew a lot of ults. We still have 2.
We gotta
They're
go.
like all
we
there.
gotta
You
get
have
there, though.
3.
I don't know how we're gonna do that.
We're not.
You're not getting there. Your only chance was honestly, someone needs to switch to a fast character and just make sure they touch. That's probably the Zenyatta who switches to a Lucio, which kind of sucks. But that was your option. Okay,
Yeah,
what
we
time is
shouldn't
it?
have given up that
7:30?
Point like that. It fucked us for the next like
Okay.
while.
Doo
Right half
doo.
of it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're man.
What's the next map?
We all rotated
Nambani.
off, though.
Okay.
Alright, we
Yeah.
needed to leave a tank or
Should
two.
be less hectic.
How much are we going for pro league teams?
Keck.
Grape, why are we still in a group?
So this is a good,
Homies for life.
not a bad one. Want to see one over points?
Overlap.
Can I May off tank?
So,
Nice nuts, boy.
oh, thank you. It
She's
took me
setting
about
up
a
her
year to learn
angles,
them.
which are super important. There's one.
You gotta
Get some
suck
nice
the
gold
nut.
there, buddy.
Suck the first.
It was fantastic.
Let's go.
Left?
Alright, let's talk about comps for a second. Oh, so we have a defensive anti-dive setup. We have at least Diva. We have probably the Orissa's up here. I think I see her legs here. We have the Diva and Soldier on high ground, which is pretty standard. I do suspect that the Ana is like back here and can command the whole point. This isn't atypical. It's kind of difficult to play against. We're running standard dive on the other team. So you're looking to dive the Ana Soldier, who is in the upper right, most likely. They're playing like this catwalk. While they have on the other side probably Moira and Orisa over here. You can avoid the Orisa Moira completely with this dive, since they're playing split. What you do is you send Tracer underneath, and Tracer comes up this back stairway where this mini is, and when the tanks dive, the tanks push them into this fuck-off hallway, and Tracer pinches them. Okay? That's how you kind of want to approach this fight. You have the Winston, you have the Diva, and you have the Genji pressure from the front. and you have the Tracer behind catching them. Lucio can maybe speed them in. Zen is going to basically sit here for the first bit and do whatever he can to not die to this D.Va, just not get engaged upon. Alternatively, he can come coast and sit underneath and watch the dive from a distance and contribute that way. The Zenyatta positioning is very, very difficult here, and once the Lucio boosts people in, if that's deemed necessary, he just these two just stay together endlessly. The only real goal of the Lucio is to peel for the Zenyatta, because Zenyatta is that important.
Mid?
Main,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going
So we're going main, that's fine.
left.
Soldier top, it looks like.
Gonna play up.
Where's the Tracer? Tracer's somewhere back here.
Discord Diva.
Oop,
Diva
Junkrat's
half?
low.
Okay, what prompts this dive? So you notice how Winston just kind of goes. He's going to jump here, I think. This isn't going to be tenable because you have two high damage targets in his face, one of which is being healed. You have the harass coming from this ledge, and the D.Va is not with him. Thankfully, he has an orb on him, and maybe the Genji can follow up if they get enough burst, but this isn't coordinated enough.
Soldier, on the soldier.
Soldier is just going to leave.
He dropped some.
Okay, so now we finally see the Ana positioning. Ana positioning is pretty good. We see a fade here by Moira, I think. And we've taken the high ground. If he, instead of dropping down, had retreated this way and used station, that might have been better. I give up the high ground immediately. Either way, like, the Winston's kind of in a little bit of a pickle, and he's not getting this kill, and he's suddenly here. He's forced to use his bubble here, and he'll probably be forced to retreat once his cooldown is up. See how everyone drops down to contest him? Now you have this situation where, like, they still have kind of high ground. This Ana should be, like, the next focus, but, like, your dive tanks are starting to eat a bunch of damage. Because the initial initiation put them in a place where they're just going to take a lot
Discord
of
Orisa
damage.
half.
I haven't seen Grape
Orisa?
yet. Where is this Tracer?
Half.
Alright, good on the Genji on forcing Ana down. Ana is now the easiest fucking target in the world. Alternatively, Moira here.
Where'd the Ana go?
Where'd the Ana go? Oh, you did go
She's
around back.
almost up.
Alright. There is some miscommunication here. Everyone else backed away. These two are going to have issues.
Oh, we slow?
Diving in two.
Oh wow, I just got
Fucking up.
bursted.
So, like, it would have been fine. You guys did something that was good. You ended up committing some resources here to this fight, and then the tanks realized that they didn't have enough to continue the fight, so they backed out a bit. But what they gained by that is positioning. We suddenly had their Ana, Soldier, and D.Va on the ground instead of up on this ledge, and we had our Tracer and Genji on the high ground. So that's fine. In the opening fight, that's fine. What you've done is force them off the high ground, and now they're easier to dive once you control the high ground, and we can initiate from there. Unfortunately, the DPS didn't realize that the tanks had left, so the tanks should instead say something like play it slow or dive in two, like Bagel did, but Bagel ends up communicating his jump cooldown late, so this fight doesn't get reinitiated until after the Genji has hard committed in the middle of their team, and as has the Tracer.
Diva out of mid.
There's how much
Almost
damage
back
they
line.
still take, though.
One. Diva.
Moira. Discord.
That's how good that positioning was.
Play point, play
It's
point.
just unfortunate that the Tracer,
Nice carry,
Genji
guys.
were out of
78 damage hit push and then died.
yeah, out of sync with it.
Nick, you're a hero.
What a champ.
Oh god.
10 out of 10.
So they got near spawn. They all got near spawn. You can send a couple to scout to see where they're positioned. Maybe if they're split, you can maybe do something, but
Great champ.
you're unlikely to be able to do too much. If they all come this way, you can actually do something. So I'd leave Zenyatta on the payload, and then I'd send the rest of the 5 to see if they can do something here. If you trade a single kill here, that means they can't hold here because you'll have the spawn advantage, and they have to travel that entire way back. So getting a trade here is fantastic.
Fuck. I had
Attacking team
nothing.
should
I wanna
look
go
to
hang
do that.
myself, dude.
We see how like different
Uh,
position
Don't worry
this
about
is.
this anymore.
See how far up this is? This isn't sustainable. Like if they jump this shield, you have no paths of retreat. At least the corner here, you can play out of line of sight for the rest of their team. But like you have to run the entire length of the bus to even get to possible safety. You don't have any health packs really to get to unless you want to go all the way here. Generally, you see teams, if they're grouped, holding the corner because the corner has shitty flank routes, or holding like here, because we just naturally hold at corners, and we've taken like this middle ground. Shields are great at corners. If you're doing it in the middle of the road, it's not going to
I
work
did some
out.
damage. I didn't do
He
much.
took a lot of damage from that. Couldn't he have just left sooner instead of using his bubble? Yeah.
Just healing him plenty of stuff.
Alright, so Grape goes into here. Not sure what angle we're taking. So right now attacking team is not taking any space whatsoever. So this is actually giving an opportunity if these guys can group up. And the Ana doesn't really need to because she's so distant, but who's the other one? That's both healers in the back. So the Moira is a little far back for what we need this for, but we're giving an opportunity for these guys to actually take this corner, which is an issue. Instead we set up back here again.
Yeah, you want to flank?
Do you want to flank? Not really.
No.
Oh, I panicked.
Mhm.
Man, you fucking guy. Tell me when you're jumping in.
Or is your-
So this Diva, is this in fact a Diva? This is their Orisa? Kill this Orisa.
yours, Boreal.
Marissa on the right.
This wrist is like
Yeah.
out of position,
Yeah.
maybe? Oh,
She's forced to burn her shield. How does Tracer die here? What? Okay. So this Orisa has to burn significant cooldowns to stay alive. That's fine.
oh no, I
That's
didn't.
perfectly
Oh.
fine. She's out of position.
No, great.
Just push payload.
Do we need to back up for that?
You will if they contest payload.
No.
We bring Diva Mac.
Right.
This wrist is like out of position.
Yeah.
Where does our
Oh.
Diva go?
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh no.
Our Diva has to be in here somewhere, right?
No,
Oh,
great.
Diva comes on
do
a
we-
fucking flank. Fuck you, Rob. This is not how you play Diva. Just stick with your Winston, follow his target. That's all you have to do. Just team shoot something. Instead, we're losing mech
Need to back up for that?
for no reason.
No.
I can just back up into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, back up, boys.
What is Lucio doing?
I'm not blowing all for that.
Okay, this was a reset, like, if they ever tried to contest anything. And you see, like, naturally how, like, you get a contest as a shield comp here on this corner. That's really what you should be looking for. You get another one here, basically, in case this position becomes not viable and you can retreat, like, back this way. So this is a great position because you actually have, like, this mini here and this mini, like, here, and cover to use if you want. But we need to regroup here, that's fine. What you can do... What is this fade forward? Did I see that right?
No.
I can just back up into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, back up, boys. I'm not blowing all
Watching
for that.
Moira.
Grab a.
She should die. Again, she doesn't have orb, doesn't have healing. I don't see Ana. I assume Ana's playing back here. Like this is not a good fade, and that should get you killed as you go up. The Winston, if he has jump, should be close. Probably doesn't have bubble again, but he can cut you off here, and then the Genji can also, like these, their DPS are up.
I died. Well, I'm just...
Regroup.
Alright, we seem like we're actually going to play the corner here. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Where are we positioned as a team? So, Ana is too close, actually. Ana can safely play, like, back here, or, like, back here-ish, and just be fine. She doesn't have to take this aggressive position this way, because she needs a path of retreat.
Yeah, I guess don't even poke.
So I don't want to see her too far up.
They've taken that.
We're looking at, like, Tracer coming around the back to harass, or the rest of the team engages someone here. The McCree is a great target. The Ana is a great target. Both of them are relatively immobile, and Defense Matrix eats them alive. We can, if we so choose, like, there's no defensive ultimate here on the side. Blade cleans up very, very well. We can actually go in with Beat Blade and just fuck
Corner
them.
now.
That's what I
Kinda
might
far right,
consider,
though,
just because
so-
we just
Yeah,
want to break this.
If we can get a pick or two, we're in a good spot.
Oh, they have it. McCree
Consider,
now.
like, this team.
That doesn't bode well.
Just tap me out, John.
What is that?
Go in.
So he anticipates this flank. But why are we
Try,
why are we
yeah.
stalling out so long?
It's all good.
We're a little weak on.
I don't understand why red team isn't just committing to
Wow!
something.
Ugh,
Stacking it.
I fucking hate that shit. They did that on
Like, McCree's not even with them.
purpose.
He's still watching the flank, even though the tracer, like, has to still be in
No, they
spawn.
definitely didn't do it by accident.
Well, I mean, they honestly could have done.
That's why we just regroup and spawn, guys.
Okay,
Why are we poking? We're just feeding them ult charge.
boat.
I'm.
Moira orb down.
No,
Alright.
it's not.
Going in.
Who are you going in on? Why wasn't that communicated before? And what prompted this dive? Were you just like, oh, Ana's there? Go dive Ana, dive Ana. Alright, so we get cut off. Unfortunately, we get anti-native, which is probably going to kill us. I like the use of Blade here, now that you have the rest of the team's attention. I'd like to see beat.
And on the right, Ana, on the blue band. Get 76, nice.
So like, we burn Coalescence and Bongo in response, but like, you have nothing for Blade outside of just killing him. You're in such a bad position. You have to know, like, Streets phase is really, really, really difficult to hold on due to spawn distances. You should almost, like, just... If you're going to commit an ult to Streets phase, you have to be really sure that it's going to do something.
Nice. Watch bomb.
Did we need trance? We didn't, right?
Going in. And on the right, Ana, on the blue band. Get 76, nice.
Okay, we used it to keep the tanks up. It wasn't communicated, but both our tanks have ults. We don't actually need to keep them up, and even if they didn't have ults, the spawn distances are such that we don't want to burn trance here at all. There's just a whole bunch of ultimates here that I don't think anyone needs to use.
God, the bongo's like one hit.
No one cares.
I'm on a Moira. Ana, on the blue band. Get 76, nice. Watch bomb.
So why do we, okay. So like, we trance when we probably don't need to just because of where we are located on the map. We've clearly won this fight. Why do we also Diva Bomb here on Team 40's side? Do we just do it?
Oh, God, the bongo's like one hit.
Oh, we got hit by the bomb and we decided to use it in response.
Get the diva.
Hey, we still have beat.
I
that's
guess
good.
to use mech, that's
Free half?
fine. I like how the rest of the team is like pushing this advantage. Winston has ultimate, so he's
Pretty well.
relatively safe.
And I'm not with you.
Dan, I don't have eyes on you.
So like, I don't like this overcommit because they're already fucking staggered, and you're likely to get the checkpoint
No, they're-
regardless.
I'm coming.
Just push payload.
yes,
Just push.
Push them
just
really far
push.
back, Dan. Dan, you're over.
Maybe get another on payload.
But like, see how much ult charge you've fed? Like, the Moira is now at 42 again because you both dealt damage and she gets to, like, suck off your 1000 HP.
Behind?
Like, if you die here, they actually get a decent recontest.
Okay, I'm out.
You're just being overly aggressive here. I mean, so is their Moira, to be fair.
No, I'm fine.
But they could actually recontest this. And they're going to. Good on them. Alright. So, if they can get Diva out of mech, they know you burned this, and this. I'm pretty sure you used bomb, although I didn't see it. So they know you only really have beat. If they commit... Like, I'd probably open with... If they really want to make sure that they win this point, if that's really important to them, instead of playing for, like, this next corner, they use High Noon to draw out as much of defensive resources as possible, which triggers a lot of defense matrix and probably triggers bubble on the back of Winston. And then we can look to Nano Visor at some point. If you're going to take this fight early, I would have liked to see Soldier and or McCree and or Ana on the high ground, but perhaps it was more of a spur of the moment. We are going to
Discord
get
Diva?
this contest.
On point. She's
I'm
almost out of mech.
I'm asleep. Anna's
Out of mech, out of
That sleep is fantastic. That should win you the fight as the
Nice.
defending team.
I'm asleep. Care.
Alright, so we're using Nano Visor.
Watch it.
Seems fine.
Dropping on.
Using beat in response. Seems fine. Winston
beat.
didn't get it because he got line of sighted by it. He's dead.
McCree coming around the back.
He's not dead. We actually get entirely off point. Why?
Nah.
What happened to our... So here's our Orisa.
Care.
Watch it.
Mech. Dropping on him.
Stay safe.
Our Orisa just gives up position.
Nice beat.
McCree coming around.
Orisa just leaves. And so we've invested 2 ultimates into this fight for their 1. And the attacking team's going to come away with it because the Orisa, despite having full health, is just going to leave the point.
Got me.
Nice. Good.
Oh, okay, sweet.
And it looks like you were winning this fight.
I mean, if they pick us here, it's whatever.
Yeah, now it doesn't matter. I agree.
Gonna play up.
If they're actually able to hold you on this corner right now, this isn't like the worst position for them to hold in that you don't really have flank routes instead of going upstairs, which they can hear you coming and they will presumably have someone also up on high ground. So if they like leave 2 people up here, like their Soldier and Moira or whomever, then this long sightline becomes difficult for you and you're forced to kind of go around this way and then force them down and then take a fight. But yeah, I generally agree this isn't that important. They need to back up.
I'm literally just hiding behind payload.
VoD is way too close to the fight. If the fight's on payload, Zenyatta should not be on payload. Just be way the fuck back here. Similar
Okay, back up,
yeah.
regroup. That was kind of a shit show.
Alright, so they hold you in this choke. It's fine. We
I've
should
got
have
Blade again.
ultimates. Good on him on having Blade. They still don't have anything to deal with it outside of Flashbang. I wonder what kind of positioning they're going to take. Poke coming down
Once again,
here.
though, they're up very far, so if you pick them all, the same thing as last push should happen.
You wanna play high ground, Dan?
That.
Alright, let's look at ult economy
I
here
have
as
ult, and I'm,
boats
like,
mode
flank-
ults come in. We have 1, 2, 3 versus 1, 2, 3. Now we're getting close to both divas. Okay, this is relatively even, except Blade is a better ultimate than many of these other ones. You can combo High Noon with Bongo, and Bongo's really strong in general.
think so. You want me to try? Say when.
So the more ultimates, the more volatile a fight can be.
Go.
Who are you jumping on? You're just jumping in just to jump. If that nade landed on you, like, this is really poorly coordinated dive.
Go.
I mean, I have ult, and I'm like flanked him. You want me to try?
Okay.
Say when.
Jumping in 2. Go.
Jumping in 2, go. If he gets slept here. If he gets purpled, he dies. Notice where his bubble is? He took so much damage on approach that he realized he needed to bubble. And so now he doesn't have it for where he is, and he should just die.
Sleep.
Diva is just now helping him, and didn't even come in with Matrix as far as I could tell. But we're going to use Bomb and Blade here, which seems fine. We use Bongo in response. That should work out just about as well as it did previously. Notice how grouped everyone is here. This Blade is going to do wonders.
Hitting them all. Nice. No more ults.
Why did we decide we needed to
Jumping
trance?
in 2. Go. Sleep. Hitting them all. Nice.
Both tanks were kind of low. Okay, I can kind of see it. Bongo is scary. I realize we bombed it, so it's not bad. And I realize your decision to try to save the tanks, but due to spawn advantage and you're winning this
More
fight,
ult.
you don't need to at all.
Push the Orisa.
The Genji's getting cucked because I think he just went on the wrong target. Like, if he went on Moira and Moira faded and then ulted. Regardless, you're going to clean up here.
Jumping.
See how this is... Okay. So this, if you're going to lose the fight, you have to die on payload. As Team 37 here. Not only are they getting push on card, but they're also staggering you and building ult charge further. It's like their best case scenario.
I'm on a
I don't know,
reset.
I feel like the trans was necessary. Anna's shooting me. She's left. Near point.
Good on Ana for stalling payload.
Coming.
Reese is one.
Maybe
got
getting
me.
a pick
Ah,
outside. Alright, now that she's got the pick, she should honestly die on payload. She's not going anywhere. But what that means is now that as this card progresses, she will have respawn and they can take a fight maybe like here, while the Zenyatta is still coming back.
Where is she?
On a new point, one
Nice.
hit.
Point.
Got her.
On his
Called
down.
her.
I got her.
She was left and then she moved.
So that was a
Yeah,
good
that was
play.
very-
That was a good play by the Ana.
Far away though.
Now we should know though that since we burned 1, 2, 3 ultimates, that the defending team is likely to have an ultimate advantage. We know they burned. They just switched, so they're not going to have this. They just switched, so they're not going to have this. And we haven't seen them use anything else in a while. We haven't seen them use High Noon at all this game, which is a mistake. You could have built another High Noon easily, I think, in this amount of time. But we have to anticipate that they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates to our maybe 3, and we might have bombs, so maybe 4. The issue is that if, like, the beat has to be good enough to beat 2 DPS ultimates, particularly one of them being Nano Visor. So that's like a huge burden on your beat to
I
be
just
like
didn't expect
ideal.
The main healer to like completely abandon.
I mean, he didn't have anything. The fight was gone. The Zen is still not with your team. We have Grapes just now starting this flank, which is a little bit difficult. We have the Lucio kind of in the middle of nowhere.
I'm
Yeah,
playing
I
up.
know.
See how this goes.
Weird.
Yep.
I got her low.
So we begin a contest on point by diving the Winston. Normally this would trigger the rest of the attacking team to just collapse on your Winston. Particularly, like, it's not going to work out because he has ultimate and you don't. This is just an awkward dive. I do agree that you need to contest point, but perhaps you need to try to find a way to do it without using your cooldown. And now they just kind of jumped your backline because there's no one actually where you left. We now know the Winston.
Macaron. Nice. Anon.
Just everyone's going to blow
Anon
ultimate.
Keep behind Discord.
Use the beat in response to the visor. Judging by the visor's location, he's not doing anything with it
Team also-
anyway because of our Winston,
Mech.
which is great.
Steve out of mech.
Yeah, we actually didn't need to beat there.
Winston on point. Discord on me.
I'm on the Zen.
You're fucked because you were too close to the point.
On Discord.
Alright, so you're here. That's generally an okay position, but like you're within diving distance here. We continue to move up as
Team also on
Zenyatta.
mech.
We're on point as Zenyatta. We don't need to be here. This is an entire misplay. It's so good that the Winston recognizes that and begins to jump you, even though the fight's going not in his favor. The Lucio needs to be with you to help peel for you, sure, but you just don't need to be this close.
Steve out of mech.
So
What's
he's
up?
actually going to leave point uncontested as he jumps you. He is low enough that you can maybe fight him. Maybe. I like this is definitely an opportunity for him to kill you. Him leaving point when his team is down 1 or 2 is kind of
On
rough.
point. Discord on me.
I'm on the Zen.
Guys, I'm dying.
Yeah, no one. Okay, so the tracer comes in to stall.
Matter.
They get a pick. It's fine. It's only 1 point.
His
Easy
name
cleanup.
is- Oh wait, this is Tracer.
Get that tracer.
It might.
She's
know what his
hiding.
name is.
So what you want to do is just post someone up here, and then she has nowhere to go. Okay? You don't need to chase her. You just need to commit to playing 2 sides of the payload, and then she can't blink from one to the other. That's all you need to do. So if the Zenyatta had been back here, then you can just kill the Winston on point just the same. Be the same fight, except now you have a Zenyatta alive. And be even harder. So you get the payload the final distance. That's good.
Push, guys.
I died for her sins.
Thanks for carrying me, guys.
Yeah, no problem, Nick.
I don't know, I suck.
Fucking loose cannon ass piece of shit.
So I think I liked in general the Tracer play. We saw the pathing he took to be generally fine. Some minor timing issues. Pulse bombs were okay. It worked well on third point and was communicated with the dive. It just so happened to not have like the medals.
You can't just hang up your badge whenever you want, Nick.
He's playing like a
Jeez.
supported
Well, I'm
character.
gonna hang up my head.
This might be me. Watch that she was like called out. She was approaching me, and then I was on point. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Honest.
Like I said, horse airbender.
Like a far right flank here. That
Yeah.
way I can stay up on team.
Okay, so let's discuss this. We're running a triple tank comp with a soldier as anchor DPS. We'll get back to that in a minute. This is anti-dive comp. Woohoo! Right, this is pretty standard. For this map, you typically see an Ana instead of a Moira because you have people playing on both high grounds, which makes them a little bit more vulnerable to dive, which is why dive defense is also a very typical thing here with a soldier posted up. This lineup makes it very, very, very difficult for you to come through this upper or main, if you don't, especially if you don't have mobility. That's kind of the issue. They have a lot of sightlines to play with. They have a lot of spam to play with. A lot of shield break. Their only issue is that this point can be a little bit spread, so that what would be an instant collapse on someone in their midst is less punishing, basically. This other team is running something. Team 37 is running something you might see more on like Horizon Lunar Colony or King's Row. It's a little weird in that usually it's rare to see triple tank without D.Va because D.Va is such a playmaker. She gets to contest high ground, she gets to deny enemy ults. She has an incredible bully potential, just boosting into someone who's out of position. Really gets to follow up on it. Zarya doesn't do that. Zarya is very much played to strictly be with the Reinhardt. And Hog is like his own thing. Like, Hog doesn't work with the other tank line really. He breaks shields kind of, yes, but like he doesn't contribute to like the tankiness of this front line where like a D.Va could extend the use of shield or protect a high charge Zarya. Ryan Zarya is traditional, but there's a reason why it's fallen out of meta. We'll see it here where like if you go main, you're being spammed from like this high ground and this high ground with no one to contest. As an attacker with a soldier, you really want to set him up on this high ground, but you're going to have real problems coming through this choke point against the spam without a D.Va matrix to eat it. So both of these options are uphill battles for you unless you can get a Roadhog hook initially. They have the option of doing the same to you, is kind of the issue. Your healers are forced to stay together with the tanks in order to support them in any way. For teams that we see come up here with a soldier, they usually come up here with like a soldier Zen to post up on this high ground while their dive has come like sort of main to influence this on the opposite ground. And then we see the defending dive tanks jump up here while the offending dive tanks jump up here. So we're playing like a completely different meta than what we see either in contenders or perhaps higher level games. I suspect that Team 37 is going to have issues with this composition on first point. The things that can blow this open is either a poor positioning by the Orisa, such that you can speed into her and get through this, or a quick graviton would also be
I gotta get in the zone.
something to discuss.
I have to say.
So we're coming
They're
high
top,
ground.
They're top.
Should be scouted.
All right.
We're all playing this high ground as well, so we're not necessarily having that issue. How far fucking is this Orisa? What the fuck happened here? Did we get hooked?
Please do it.
IPA.
What
I
happened?
gotta get in the zone, dude.
What else do I have to say?
We have to have gotten hooked, right?
They're top. They're top.
Yeah, we got hooked in. Why were we playing in front of our shield to begin with? This is a complete and utter throw by Orisa here. The entire difficulty of coming through this choke was just negated because he decided not to play with his shield.
All right. Then.
I'm hooked,
Still gets
Mr.
bailed out
Krabs.
because this choke point is so strong. Like, if you had Matrix here, that hook wins you the fight.
Nice.
Because
oh
you
my
don't.
God.
I'm going.
Push. Push.
They get to push
Push.
you.
Push.
Good shit.
I'm a little sad that wasn't
I should have waited.
that
to blow
hook
that.
wasn't what
Better.
opened the
Alright,
fight
back
for
up,
you,
back up,
but
back up.
like
Yes.
That was beautiful.
kind of
Good
understand it.
job,
Are we gonna
everybody.
stick with the same
Hey, I have
composition?
silver damage after.
He knows how much ultimate you have built up on this guy. This is the reason why you lost the fight, and this is the reason why, like, Zarya's defensive capabilities aren't enough.
Having no metal because I just spammed into a hallway. That's the easiest character in the game.
They've actually like the
Grats.
near perfect composition
Grats.
against you coming up here.
Gratsy.
There's like one or two things you might want to change. All right, we're going a double dive. Or we're just swapping everything around. We decided that yeah, this choke point's fucking awful for you.
Underneath.
Okay.
Maybe. Are they?
So like you guys are calling them out in places where they haven't even left their fucking spawn yet. Get good headphones, guys. Alternatively, the soldier can like just hold tab, wait to see what they're doing. You should have realized they're switching right now, just by pressing tab. Once you crush them so much in this fight, like they might be like, "Oh, our strategy was just bad. Let's switch to something else." In which case, hold tab, see what's going on. Soldier can come up to this platform, which I've highlighted preemptively, to get scouting information in case they haven't switched. With the mind that he's only doing it to get quick poke and then it has to immediately leave, in which case they switch to dive, which they did. You should be looking to use Tire next fight. As the attacking team, you should know that you're not going to have any sort of ultimate advantage coming in. This first fight or two is going to be very difficult, and you're going to have to draw ultimates out of the defenders.
I don't see him.
Defenders
see
can use that
anybody.
to just
Not
stall
going
longer,
on.
longer, longer.
Underneath? No, that's you.
Alright, so we're using this as a staging area. Seems fine. The Winston's not here yet. We have someone flanking.
No shield.
We have a Junkrat way the fuck back. Team kind of needs to wait for the Junkrat, otherwise you're just going to feed like the soldier ultimate here.
They're
Oh,
pushing
there's
mid.
Diva.
That's a diva mid. I don't know if that's all of them.
Press tab.
Still only diva. What are
I-
they?
How do you not? So like, you're Zenyatta, right? No, someone else is Zenyatta. Anyway, you're back on this high ground. You have perfect sightlines down here, this, and main. You should be able to see the entirety of their team. You need to get scouting information of which way they're going, like way before they're fucking here.
They
Hit
doing?
somebody. You want me to scout with my tire?
Yo, are they playing shenanigans?
They're not playing shenanigans. They're just taking the entirety of the space because we're only set up here. So I like the Winston jump up here, even though there's no one here, because it just kind of sets you up for the rest of the match. You're not going to be contested up here, apparently, but you're denying it from the soldier later in the fight. I like that.
Shenanigans right now?
Playing mid.
Oh, they're
Playing mid.
Across the bridge, we have
yeah,
a.
they're all mid.
So no one protected Grape. So the Tracer comes in and just kills him.
They're like
Get
split
ready
up on
to
bridge.
move to point.
We use it on the Diva from such a range that we don't even get her mech. If Diva regroups, gets healed, and then we suddenly fight a 5v6.
Diva low.
Fuck.
Oh, I should.
We actually can't
Junkrat Discord.
I'm on
Yeah.
point.
What is Junkrat doing there?
just move point. Yeah, moving point.
Why are we So, the Winston goes in, decides he can't be here any longer, and leaves, and that's when Diva decides she needs to go in. He's also jumping, like, away from his main healer, which is here. And also, our Zenyatta is really way too close to the fight. They have no flankers. Zenyatta can sit, like, here on a crosswalk and have good sight lines and being able to heal whomever the fuck he wants. You're just asking to get picked on here.
Winston?
Zenyatta's, and you realize it, and you back the fuck up. Alright, we lose Diva Mech because our tanks are uncoordinated, and
D.Va
So we
mech
don't have
Discord.
enough damage to break this because one of our DPS is down. I like the Tracer flank on the side here. In general, defending team is kind of forced to give up high ground because enemy is a dive team, which really sucks. Which is why you don't kind of see this composition being run against dive, because you're kind of forced into a fucking corner, in which case the Winston's getting mad value and you give up the entirety of the high ground.
Guys, stay
Tracer
group.
recall down.
Winston low. Pulling Moira. Pulling Moira.
Warrior Discord. Warrior Discord.
Dive defense is really strong in this map. Yeah. Junkrat's back.
Tracer
Tracer
behind.
behind.
Oh!
This bomb is weirdly timed. I like the idea you're on a flank. I don't like the idea of pressuring right now while your entire team is regrouping. If this bomb got a couple kills, then maybe your team could use it as a chance to come in. But you're maybe going to get one kill here on the Orisa. You're not going to get the Hog, I don't think, unless he literally doesn't react or his healers literally don't react. And by the time your team is in a position to adequately pressure, these respawns are going to be that much closer to coming in.
Oh,
So we don't even get her and we die for it.
Careful.
I'm out of P.
Water.
That's unfortunate. Alright, so like this push
Got her,
is
got her.
already basically dead. Boat should just like ult this if you engage.
Get more P.
5, 4.
Why is this? So he has.
Tracer
Tracer
behind.
behind.
Oh!
Who has orb?
Oh,
Who's Excelsior
Careful.
put orb
I'm out
on?
of
Got her,
P.
got her. Got her,
I'm
got
out
her.
of P.
Get more P.
Why does Grape have it?
5,
Put it on your fucking tank.
4.
Warrior
He
Discord.
still doesn't have it. Just healer. Alright, I like the coalescence here. We should look to position ourselves like here, right behind him, so that we are able to hit him and anyone coming this way. It's dangerous to coalescence to initiate the fight, particularly in view of Hog, who is should be looking to hook us to shut us down. The Zenyatta positioning is a little awkward, but he can use this as cover at
Popping
least.
ult.
Got her!
Good hook. You see the Zenyatta is now getting singled out and forced to retreat through here, which isn't a great retreat. He could very well be back here, but the Tracer was just vacated this space. This is going awfully for the attacking team right now.
For some reason.
Monkey on me. He's
Zen,
discorded.
They have no way of turning this. Why is the Zenyatta here again?
Point Zen.
Zen.
Zen 1. Nice, good shit.
Monkey
This fight's over. Leave it.
half.
Dropping Bongo.
You jump in. You're feeding additional ult charge here in the event that you could have gotten out. So, and you're committing your D.Va further. The D.Va needs to leave, and we definitely didn't need to use Bongo.
Monkey still
Hope you
discorded.
see that
Discord,
now.
nice.
Monkey's
Get the
down.
D.Va.
I don't know if we needed
That-
bomb.
You definitely didn't need Bongo.
Yeah, we didn't.
Just D-Mech. D-Mech is...
He got so much ult charge off of your D.Va.
Yeah, she's gone. Okay. All right. Let's
Run back
retake
to
high
high
ground.
ground.
High ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many ults do we have? We only have
I pop mine. I'm a quarter.
We're gonna have like 3, maybe 4 ults this fight. Meanwhile, we're going to have maybe 2.
The way back.
This is going awfully
I
for the
popped mine at
defenders.
3/4 the way back.
They're not
Where are
taking
we on
clean
trains?
engagements.
Oh, okay,
They're
cool.
using ultimates in
Going on.
situations where
Yep. Here.
it makes it
Watch
rough.
yourself, Nick. Why
Like
not?
even if that initial tracer bomb gets the pick here, you're still kind of down in ult economy. So unless you get like 2 there, they might still have either the respawns or the ults to take a fight. It's just not a
Yeah,
clean,
or-
decisive victory. So we're going high ground.
I saw them in main.
No, we're going
That's what I
coast.
was saying,
Okay.
which they-
So like, it's awkward that the D.Va and the Winston are split right now, and I think that's a Winston bubble. No, it's not. Which means that sometimes it's not an issue. Here, I think it can be an issue because the soldier has just tremendous poke damage, and the Orisa also has decent poke damage, and as does the Zenyatta. So Winston on approach is going to take a lot of damage without the
They
D.Va.
showed
man,
the
man
trap
again.
in there, so they're
D.Va
probably
main.
D.Va's
Yeah,
main,
Junkrat mine.
Tracer's underneath.
It's coming through there.
Tracer's blinking. That was loud. You should know Tracer's under you just from the fact that she blinked under you.
Guys, call
What the fuck are you doing
out
here?
Tracer since Excelsior's.
Heal me.
already-
Right.
Heal me, heal me. Thank you.
Grape almost dies because he went up here for some reason.
Just like if you
What is
There's a
He's
Junkrat
He's on the
standing up.
diva.
what is D.Va doing? D.Va just jumped in here for
D.Va, Discord.
no trigger. 3 seconds after he starts the boost, the Winston decides to jump in. What is triggering this? I see the Tracer here. Okay, so the Tracer can follow up on a jump, maybe, sure, but like the other 3 members of the team are just removed from this fight right now.
burn Diva.
No out, no out.
D.Va obviously gets mech chewed and feeds enough ult charge to build the remainder of Tac Visor and
Where's the
Diva
Tire.
Discord.
Where's the Winston? Yeah. Junkrat jumped on us. He's dead.
I'm on point.
Oh, Tracer behind.
People are just jumping into the fray and hoping it works out.
Great, I got heals on
That's
you.
not how we
That's
play
not the story.
dive. Alright, so it's not quite last fight, but we both burned both. We didn't need to burn either of these offensive ults. They were already down 1, 2. So like you're still up 5v6 or 5v4. One of them maybe if you were communicating it. 2 definitely not.
All right, I didn't know.
Tracer no recall on point. We also burned Hog ult.
The Tracer.
Holy
Tracer.
shit!
Orban 2.
Nice, nice, nice. Look at Winston.
Why is the Winston back?
Pop.
Winston, Winston, Winston.
Got him.
What are you doing?
I'm low on P. Play
Play
safe.
high.
I have ult though.
Checking high ground.
Drink more water.
I have orb. Where?
30 seconds remaining.
No look.
Sick hold, everybody.
Yo,
It's not over.
Enemy Mora looks like she needs to take a.
So like we burned, let's count it again. 1, 2, 3 ultimates when we could have used likely 0 to win that fight. Now we have 2 ultimates, and now they're coming in with 1, 2, 3, 4. So like we completely handed ult economy to the attackers when we were doing just fine not doing that.
Allied Mora, probably okay.
Hey, bud.
2 main.
Look
Right.
at main. Diva main. Diva going to point. I'm on point.
There's someone in the left
Winston,
side.
Winston, Winston.
They jumped the Winston. You know how like you see how far away this D.Va is? She can't matrix for this Winston, so if you can get around the bubble, he's just gone. Thankfully, we're gonna have to burn trance here to even keep him up, and that's like, it's it's the only time so far I'm thankful that the Zenyatta is this far up. I don't know if that was intentional, like, oh yeah, we need a trance this fight, so I'm gonna play further up than I usually do, or he's just been practicing for this positioning the entire round.
I'm low, I'm
What
low.
are we waiting for? Why does Grape go up here? Why does Grape go up here? So I feel like Winston can contest point. Probably using trance if necessary. The D.Va just comes and kills him. Because he's out of position now. He's made the decision that he doesn't want to live in this world anymore. I like the Tracer flank. I wish the tanks were currently aggressing right now. But if she's getting in for a quick clip on Bagel, then that seems fine.
Need help.
Tracer behind.
Tracer run.
You see how we're using this ultimate purely for its damage right now? That's not good. We should at minimum get 2 people.
Hook down.
Oh, huge
Shit.
ult.
Damn.
Go dive. Winston Diva.
Alright, I died on.
Grape ended up way the fuck back here to duel an Ana in the middle of that.
Point. Sorry, boys, I tried.
Wow, that was a quad kill.
Good Diva rep.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so that's gone, right? Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got it.
So what happened? How did that go down?
what went down is the Winston jumps in without his diva. You failed to punish it. And by punish it, I mean force them to pop trance. We all continually just kept backing into like this stairwell in this room. Diva bomb came over the top, and we were no longer capable of going this way for some reason. Maybe we were zoned out. Maybe we just didn't realize where it was going to land. It was a good diva bomb. Very good diva bomb. One of our DPS decided to leave the fight and fight their backline 1v3 with his high ground advantage. And therefore wasn't able to actually pressure the people who were standing here. Soldier was getting some value, but the angle was kind of hard. He was having a rough time of it. We just had a bunch of people kind of sitting on this corner, unable to do more than stall the point out and wait for someone else to carry.
They got a quad kill on Diva Bomb.
Oh.
And then, yeah, it ended there.
Boys, how come you don't have quick hiding moves that let you live?
Yeah. Sorry, bye.
Oh, is that where we're holding? Am I?
So, like, you can see now we went dive defense. Soldier modified dive defense. Okay. That's fine. Soldier, Zen stay together. Since we swapped 3 heroes, and we used a couple ults. Did we swap 3? 1, 2. We swapped 2 heroes. We used a couple ults. We're going to be down in ultimate. You can leave Ana or Zen on payload or both, and then push up with the rest of your team here if you're the attacker. Defender, you've lost the opportunity to contest this corner. We're looking to contest this corner, and then maybe if the fight goes well enough, we get another contest before the end of Streets. Streets is really rough like that. I don't expect it to go well for us. We go up here and use it as a staging area. I like that. I don't like the Winston pushing in here with bubble. This bubble should be destroyed by these two instantly. Even with Matrix, you're kind of burning it through. And so once the Matrix and the bubble are gone, you're in an enclosed room against the entire enemy team. If you had just taken this positioning as a lip, just kind of like, just kind of posturing there, I like it. But I think this is a little too over-aggressive.
I need to get out of that room.
And you have to get out of that room, yep. I agree.
Not die.
You see how we just step back up off this ledge? Seems good. We can get healing any minute now.
What's up, team?
Any minute now.
Alright, are we gonna play it?
There we go. Okay. One of the things that we're grouped for, if we do want to take a fight on this corner right now, while the payload's there, this high ground needs, like, we need to give our soldier and our Zenyatta this high ground, which their tanks are currently occupying correctly. The advantage of taking a fight early here is that we're guaranteed another fight back here. But it's difficult. Here comes the Tracer around. Did anyone hear that? She blinked twice in audio range of both of you.
Tracer's
Like
behind us?
4 of you. Okay, someone
Heard her?
noticed.
I don't know where.
Oh shit, you guys are low.
It's fine. Grape should be contributing to this Winston
Monkey
thing.
discorded.
Okay.
This fight is going on without anyone contesting payload. This is attacking. This is the attacker's
Get out of there!
preference.
I can't
What
heal
a
that.
mess.
Oh my god, she has that again? Diva, Tracer behind where we were.
I'm on point.
We're finally contesting. Zenyatta has forced to drop. Rob and Winston are desynced. I don't know how Moira gets
Down.
killed.
You have one
It's
healer,
largely
one
unimportant.
tank.
This fight just was never really properly set up by red team here, and blue team kind of got to dictate where the fight was while pushing payload. And now he's going to get staggered. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Guys, we're split
Grape,
up
you're not getting out.
pretty bad. We probably need to back up and try
If
to
If they
contest
decide
last second.
that you don't get to go out.
Zen, back up. And yeah, Grape, are you safe?
He's
no.
not really safe, no.
Oh,
He gets saved.
alright,
Cool.
recontest now?
Cool.
The nano?
That nano's not good.
Oh yeah.
But it'll secure this point, basically.
Zen.
Great
You're in.
anti-nade. He should be focused immediately. If you call out, like, purple targets are great to focus. They can't be peeled for.
Did
Coming.
If he lives, this is tragic. The fact that we pop ult to save someone who's purple is fucking tragic as well.
Chunk on the left.
Monkey,
I do like the aggression now that we've committed coalescence.
monkey.
Tracer's
Leave a
behind
Discord.
us. I don't know where. She maybe waste my ult.
Alright, they're using double tire.
Diva's low.
Staying at tire. Point.
Line of sighted random ass tire. The fight is kind of devolved, right? This is really aggressive because now you're in between 4 people, 5 people. What are you doing with that? You're trying to get a bomb? Okay, I can see that. You're gonna have to leave immediately. The Winston is forced to play back because this Winston is pulling a lot of attention to himself. The Ana is currently being buddy blocked from healing here, Winston.
Tracer behind.
This is looking good for the defenders so far.
Tracer half. Tracer's
stuck.
1.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, I don't even know how I hit her. I just stand.
Junkrat,
Discord.
good target. Winston's next.
He's down.
Healing him point.
Ana's low.
Ana can be next.
Ana's low.
Why the fuck?
Got her.
Good shit.
What the fuck is Boat doing right now? So like, you don't fade into the enemy team. Like, he should not be the one to chase this Ana. Just leave her. She's not going anywhere.
Zen.
Pushing is good. He got fucking lit up. Holy moly.
I don't see it.
We're coming to you.
We just gotta watch the back
Go
door.
for that. Oh.
Nah, back up. Point.
Alright. Yeah.
We're getting another stagger out of it though. This Diva's too far forward.
Good hold, everyone.
Even back-
Where are we on ults? Okay, good. We have 2 good ones. Nice.
Trying to get my mech. I
Keep
need
Zen
my...
on.
So what we want right now as the defending team is to have Zenyatta set up on the high ground way back here with Soldier. Unfortunately, we don't have mech to control the high ground. We want Winston to play a little bit more aggressive around this high ground. So if they do come underneath, which they can't, he drops down onto them, and that's why they can't. And then uses mobility to retreat. We're just looking to stall as long as possible, even if we don't win this fight. We can win the next fight or 2 to win the game. For that reason, if you're playing to win the match rather than the point, you can go into this one dry, wait for yourself to have an advantage, and then commit the 1, 2, 3 ults you're likely to have as defenders. Other than that, Junkrat kind of plays high ground for a little bit and then leaves as soon as he can. Moira plays, I guess, around point-ish. Wait for her healers to return to her. Can pocket the Soldier and Zen, probably ideal. Defenders or attackers are going to have to make their way to high ground and contest it. Are likely going to have to trance here because the sightlines are so good for the defenders that you're going to eat a lot of poke coming in. Also, do a bomb can randomly get another 4K, and that would easily solve
I'm grabbing high
solve
ground right
their
here.
situation. I like the grab on high
Call
ground.
for Tracer.
Like it. I don't know if I would have used bubble
them at
immediately. I like the
can't go
counter
high.
dive. 2 good kills here. Tracer doing a good flank.
I'm going.
Tracer behind. He's on me.
Let's see how Tracer, Soldier, and Zen weren't peeling for each other, and Moira didn't recognize it till too late. Moira literally had nothing to do but stop this Tracer from
Leave them at
cucking.
Discord.
Like, you're not out of range for healing orb, but like this doesn't require your attention.
I can't go up there with you
It's
guys.
so hard.
I'm going.
Tracer blinks. No reaction. You hear that shit.
I'm going.
Gets a clip off.
Tracer
No reaction. Heal your
Fine,
fucking
he's on
Zenyatta. Now we have the long spray of piss. That's already too late. Need better reaction time from your healers to pocket each other. And some better positioning to actually be together.
1 point. Tracer behind point.
She's
Recall
forced to
down,
Tracer
recall.
recall down. On point.
It's 2 bad blinks.
Zen on point.
I like the popping of ultimates now
Is
that
that
we've
Junkrat?
fully committed to this fight.
I think we're good.
You got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we got it.
Alright.
Nice call outs, everybody. Very
Good.
much better than last game.
So some really bad
I had
initiations.
exactly 9,000 damage.
So we saw some really bad initiation of fights, particularly on first point. Misunderstanding of like when a team fight was won once again with ultimate usage. Without hearing comms, it's kind of hard to say like what your plan was for a bit, but it seemed like it wasn't being communicated when tanks were going in and on what target for both attackers and defenders when you were running dive, which is the single most important thing to do. Dive needs to get in, get out real quick, needs to have focus because their damage isn't particularly high. Immobile supports like Zenyatta need fantastic positioning, and you carry as a support through your ult usage, and I wasn't really convinced either support is able to do that well enough to convince me that they're worth running their heroes. They were just kind of like, both Zenyatta's were just being focused down without their team protecting them and without them taking defensive positions that allowed them to retreat. They were playing more like close range heroes. Like if you play Mercy too much, that sort of positioning that you can get away with Mercy, that range in which you need to heal as Mercy is kind of where the Zenyatta's were. But instead, the Zenyatta's have to walk away instead of guarding an Angel to safety. I want to work on that, and I'll review the second half of the VoD at a later point. Hope that helps.